Tom Swarbrick on LBC.
Very good afternoon to you. This hour,
Iran's former supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. Ayatollah Khamenei is dead.
Trump seems to have downgraded his war with Iran to a mere excursion. As the president without a plan said, the excursion is now coming to an end. All objectives are met, and that's that.
Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
One wonders whether rising oil prices had anything to do with the speed of Trump's decision to declare a form of victory in this war, excursion into Iran. Did the Americans and Israelis just bomb them into a form of submission to remind them that they would never be allowed to develop nuclear weapons? An act, of course, Trump said that they'd basically stopped some months ago with those strikes on the Iranian nuclear facilities. Was that, the idea of the creation of a nuclear weapon, a false justification that Trump wanted regime change for other reasons, to help the Iranian people? Seems unlikely. To help the Israelis, maybe, to play a form of 3D chess and get the Gulf nations to realise who their friends truly are, to cleave Iran away from them and perhaps further into the arms of the Russians and Chinese. If this is going to be over in a week or so, what was it? Are you pleased that the UK seems to have stayed out of it, still apparently just about unable to get a warship to the Eastern Mediterranean, the equivalent of rocking up in Berlin for the first time just as tea and cake is being served? As an Iranian, has this been a success if the Ayatollah's son is the one who ends up ultimately leading the country? 03456060973 is the number. Simon Marks is LBC's Washington correspondent. So is this it? Was it an excursion? Was it a war? What's the plan, Simon?
I know, he talks about this excursion as though it was a day trip to Bognor Regis and back. I mean, the reality is that the wind is going out of the president's sails here at a rate of knots because he's been besieged with allied nations, particularly in the Middle East, the Saudis, the Qataris and others, saying this has got to stop. This is wreaking havoc in the region. It's doing damage to local economies. Look at what's happened, for example, in Dubai over the last few days, and we're not going to give you any more rope to continue doing this. Now, the president in that press conference yesterday once again took the country on flights of fancy over what this was all about. Suddenly, he's got a new line, and it is that Iran was on the verge of taking over the entire Middle East, and the United States and Israel acted just in time to stop that from happening. I mean, there's no fact-based analysis that suggests that Iran was planning to take over the entire Middle East or in any position to do that. And as ever, there is the contradiction over a president saying that they were perilously close to getting their hands on a nuclear weapon, even though he also claims simultaneously that last July he destroyed their nuclear capability. I mean, the oil turmoil definitely part of this, and I think it's now clear why he had that conversation yesterday with Vladimir Putin. He said Vladimir Putin wanted to be helpful. Well, it was actually Donald Trump who was being helpful by loosening some of the restrictions that America has placed on Russian oil exports for the duration of this crisis.
The Secretary of State for Defence, Pete Hegseth, has also been in front of cameras today talking about the three principal things that they were there to deliver, which was to stop Iran from being able to get a nuclear weapon, stop the ballistic missile program which threatened the region, possibly Europe, possibly even America, and then a third thing which might have been something around freeing the people.
Well, not freeing the people, because that's no longer part of the objectives that have been listed by the US government. The third thing almost certainly will have been the destruction of the Iranian Navy, which also hasn't been fully achieved, although they've done enormous damage to the size of America's Navy. I mean, it was apparent yesterday from what Donald Trump said at the press conference that all that talk in the immediate aftermath of launching the attack about saying to the American people, this is the time for action, this is your chance, rise up, take control of your country. Oh, but by the way, don't leave your homes because it's too dangerous to go out. Coupled with what he'd said in January when he promised that help was on the way to those protesters courageously taking to the streets of Iran, many of them killed by the Revolutionary Guard. All of that now appears to be totally forgotten by a president who yesterday said he'd love to help the Iranians, but the problem with that is that in order to be helped, they have to live in a system that will allow them to be helped. And they're sort of living in a system that is currently not permitting that to take place. So he's just stopped talking about it completely.
And a system potentially perpetuated by the son of the Ayatollah, who's going to be leading the country from now on. Simon, thank you so much. Simon Marks is LBC's Washington correspondent.